Hey YouTube, Afian here. Today I wanted to show you a review of my Oceanics Top 8 match. I'm playing against YuGiOh here. I wanted to give you guys an idea of the things that are running through my head, some of the plans that I make, some of the misplays that I make, some things I could do better. Purrely is quite a freestyle deck, so I think it's important that we think in a way that we can apply to every duel. Instead of just thinking about, what combo lines do I do, where do I interact in particular. You want to be thinking about the things that beat you and the ways that you can beat your opponent. So, for this first match, we're playing against YuGiOh. There are a couple of things that we need to remember when we're playing against YuGiOh. So YuGiOh, all their monsters will have 0/0 attack, and they crash into yours to deal damage. This means that we want to keep the our monsters with their lowest facing values facing forwards. So, for example, summoning Beauty in defense position, or summoning Noir in attack position, and trying to avoid using the delicious memories. And let's talk about the outs that YuGiOh has. So YuGiOh doesn't need any kind of outs to get rid of the Noir, because they can just swing into it and do the damage, because that doesn't affect Noir. So what can happen with YuGiOh is they can summon, 1 to 2 YuGiOhs, summon a Typhon on top of something, and then swing into your Noir, and if your Noir is big enough because you're using delicious memories, you can't shuffle back the monsters on the field, and then you lose. So that's the sort of thing that we need to watch out for when we're playing, because apart from that, we can just sit on Noir because they don't have outs like Underworld Goddess usually.
In this tournament.
We'll get into game one.
I think anyone that's made the top cut has done exceptionally well this weekend, but definitely as we're getting down here,
and my starting hand is 2 Purrelys, Rivalry, Imperm, and Yeep, which is a bit of a yikes. It's not the sort of hand that you want. And again, because I know I'm playing against YuGiOh, first I got to see what memory I draw, and I draw a Happy Memory. So it's not one of our starter memories like Pretty Memory or Delicious. But because of Yeep in hand, it makes the hand not too bad, right? Because as long as I make it into an XC monster, I'll always get Noir. And I choose to discard the Rivalry here because I know that I'm playing against YuGiOh. And in hindsight, I actually didn't know that he was playing a Cash Engine. Because his first summon ended up being Special Unicorn, as it will be if you have cash cards. Which I could have Rivalried him there, and then it locks him out of playing the game. In hindsight, I thought it was pure YuGiOh.
Definitely, I think at this point, players have scouted out.
So my options here is to search for, I want some way of making a Noir which has multiple spins, right? If I was just to choose the Happy Memory to XC summon into it, and just XC into Noir using Yeep there, I'd have 1 spin, or maybe even 2, but my Noir would be affected from the get-go, right? So there's no opportunity for me to hold the Noir for later. So I end up searching for 2 Delicious Memory on 1 street.
You do have a good idea of what
the idea being that street will get me the Sleepy Memory as a draw 2, and Delicious Memory, because I've got so many spell cards in my hand, I can discard them to get big Noir. So I do in fact hit the Delicious, and I go for another discard because I'm just filling up my graveyard with spells at this point.
Yep, just clarifying which memories are used. I believe this one's the Delicious Memory.
Yep, discards a Purrely, just a regular one out of hand to summon yet another Purrely monster from the deck to the field. Going up top.
And you see I grab the Happy Memory because I'm playing against YuGiOh. YuGiOh runs Unchained, and when you're playing against Unchained, Happy Memory is so powerful because you can stop the critical pops that they need. Usually when you're playing against Unchained, if you stop their first pop action, like a Ruha in hand, targeting one of their trap cards, sometimes their turn will just end there. But obviously it's not just pure Unchained, but Happy Memory is still really strong in this situation, and as I said before, we want to stay off Delicious Memory because we don't want to give that attack boost so that they can attack into our Noir.
Yep, so just confirming which ones have been used. I guess they all have relatively similar names and appearances, so it'll always double check, make sure which ones have been used and which effects have not been used.
I think we see a plump there, activating the Happy Memory. Pump effect.
To attach.
Yes, I believe so. He's definitely going all in. He's trying to make that very big X-Purrely Noir. Such a pain with many players who have come against the Purrely strategy here.
Yep. Stability to detach to and place cards to the bottom of the deck is very powerful, as well as it being unaffected by activated effects.
And here's where I autopilot a little bit. I see that I've got 5 materials and I'm like, oh, Noir time! Bam! And you can see me hold the Yeep. I'm like, oh, I did not mean to do that. But we're going to make SP Little Knight here just because you want to have something to do with the rest of the cats. And my other option to make here would have been Assembled Nightingale, but I don't expect to be OTK'd, so I don't really need the damage protection because I know that it's not Temper.
Even though it doesn't look like a lot of cards on top side of the field, that X-Billy Noir is going to be...
Once per turn. Oh, that's
So
super
no bonus effects from
needs to
the
go through, really
Noir.
use effect 3 times.
Like I have no sleepies, so whatever I draw next turn is going to have to do. So the things that I want to preserve on this turn is the My Friend. If I need to keep My Friend here, or else I won't have the resources to play next turn, I'd love for him to remove the Noir so that I can add memories back. That would give me a really strong turn 3. And that's basically, you know, because if I draw a card, that becomes the discard, and then the My Friend will be the memory that I use to summon out the Lily. Another thing to consider here is I am currently 3 Purrelys in the graveyard and 1 Lily on field, so I've only got 1 Lily in deck. So I've got to be really careful about my resource usage here. So he starts with Unicorn, and I've been playing against like Snake Eyes the whole day, and Unicorn in those strategies is so many. Like it's like 2 bodies, which is quite important. And again, this is the misplay of shuffling it back. If I had impermed here, my Noir would have stayed unaffected, which was probably a better idea. But I'm thinking like, well, imperm, like having a negate is more powerful than having a shuffle back, right? So if there's a card in the field that I can shuffle back without having to use the imperm, I probably should. So Unicorn activates its effect like not on summon, so I can shuffle it back. Same for like Samsara D-Lotus. So if he would summon Samsara D-Lotus, I would shuffle it back immediately. That way it can't activate its effect.
Use it for a Kester spell trap.
X-Billy Noir only have 4 materials now, so it will be affected by activated effect. Oh,
Yeah,
and we see the
triple sack. Now, something to consider here is that if somebody doesn't hand trap you, especially in this format that we are in right now, so I'm talking about pre-info, if somebody doesn't hand trap you, there's a reason why they haven't hand trapped you, and the reason is probably not because they have only engine. The reason is probably because they're playing a board breaker build. So I also could have seen that he didn't hand trap me and go, well, okay, well, why didn't he hand trap me? It's not just because I'm lucky. There's something I've got to be playing around here. And like, for example, if a Tenpai player doesn't hand trap you, you know that they're on board breakers like Raigeki and Lightning Storm. So then you want to like keep your Noir unaffected to kind of dodge those.
I think he will be selecting to take monster here, and either one.
So he selects to take monster, and what are my options here? I can Noir spin the talents, but then I can only get, like, he'll still end up with 2 materials on the Noir, which means that when he goes to his side of the field, he can use those 2 materials to bounce my Friend, cutting me off from my follow-up, which is really bad. Really, really, really bad. I can SP away both of them. I can Yeep into something, but he can still take the monster that I summon off Yeep because it's not going to be a Noir because it has to go down. So those are my only options here. So I have to SP here because my thinking is, well, I'm playing against YuBell. He can't do massive damage if there's no monsters on the field. So, and then next turn I can summon the Noir back, crash into whatever he summons,
will resolve that effect. But essentially he did what he wanted him to do anyway by removing
my
some of the monsters that are available. Now he's free to activate his Nightmare Throne.
Exactly. Then we've got the 2 cards face down. I think one we can assume is at least another memory because it got targeted last turn. But the other card, though, the little card, I think is the outlier. We're not too sure what that is.
So when somebody adds Chaos, is it
like
Chaos Summoning Beast?
Or just any other memory.
I assume that his hand is really bad because of the fact that you're searching for this particular one, which means that if I let this through, because I have the imperm, if I let this through, it generates the continuous spell, it generates another body, which gets him into like all these other stuff for free, right? So I need to imperm it here. Also because like there's not many other special summons that he has. Most of his like stuff is normal summons. I think he has a Samsara D-Lotus in hand, which is a normal summon. But you'll see later he can make Phantom YuBell with cards in his hand. Unfortunately, he like bricked on the level 11.
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me. So leaving himself with 1 card in hand.
But yeah, he combos off here and he ends on.
Right, I think it's 20.
Sure, sounds about right though.
Alright, he ends on Soul of
Alright,
Rage with the trap card that pops one in your field, one in your opponent's field, which I think is unique for his strategy because most people would run the summon back trap card.
So that's saying the escape from the Shavara. So that puts 2 points of interaction, essentially 2 ways that he could interact with his opponent.
Still not sure why he had to get rid of that Nightmare Throne net. Nightmare Throne net in as well.
So, I draw for turn, and let's talk about what I need to worry about this turn. So, Soul of Rage can target Noir, or it can target SP Little Knight. If it targets Noir, I can choose to let that resolve, and then activate my friend afterwards, but I have to activate my friend on the same chain that he is activating SP Little Knight, and because I'm turn player, my friend has to activate first. He's going to chain the SP Little Knight, banishing the my friend, which is not good for me. So I can't let him Soul of Rage with my Noir, and I can't let him do it with my SP Little Knight because the same thing is going to happen, right? Now, my SP Little Knight can clear the Soul of Rage effect, right? Soul of Rage, target anything. SP Little Knight, target the Soul of Rage, right? Removes it from the field, it doesn't get to link summon. But he's also got the back row. So, for example, he can go back row, target anything, ISP, target the Soul of Rage, and then he can Soul of Rage target anything, right? So he's got 2 activations to my 1 response, right? So I need to balance it up by coming up with something. And I drew Dark Ruler no more for turn, which is a really great draw here, which puts us both on 1 and 1, right? 1 and 1 interaction. Which means that as long as I hold, as long as he's the first person to do something, mine will be better,
Thank you very much, Judge.
right? And the other thing I need to play around is this Yama. So if he goes trap card, destroy the Soul of Rage, and it resolves, then he can Yama summon back the Soul of Rage, and even after the Dark Ruler, it'll be live.
Reading.
Yep. I'm just reading the Yama to make sure he gets full understanding of
Yeah,
the
so I just gotta make sure that nothing gets destroyed here.
Dark Ruler no more off the top. Suddenly Unchained Soul of Rage is not going to be able to activate its effect this turn, but no damage is going to be able to be dealt to Jared.
However,
So I
have to
go
say
to
again
attack
that-
position, and I'm trying to swing into the Soul of Rage just to get the damage in.
So I think
This
that-
also forces
that's
him
up
to
to
actually
Rage.
like do
That's the
something
My Friend Purrely.
first, which, as I said, if he does something first,
Banishing
we
Rage
win.
Purrely and banishing
Alright.
itself. So My Friend Purrely
Now
can
Noir's
stay.
going to swing. We're under Dark Ruler no more, so there's 0 damage, and I go, what do I do here? I can't crash anymore. I don't have the card in my hand for the discard. Like, I am really screwed. But then,
Telling Noir has
I remember that I have Yeep.
but there's 0 damage to the Dark Ruler no more.
So Yeep into Happiness, which is crazy. And I learned this from playing Purrely
Purrely.
Sprite. Happiness doesn't need its memory in order to search. It needs its memory to halve attack. So I go into the Happiness and swing and search because there's one card in my deck that gets me out of the
Even if it
situation,
doesn't deal
and
any
it's
damage, it
Lily.
still gets that effect.
Because any other memory, I then, even if I grab a memory, my friend for a second memory, right, that's 2 cards, so 1 to play, 1 to discard, and I summon out a Lily, I don't have the 1 memory in hand that I need to make the Noir, right? So I need to have Lily maintain a card in hand in order to actually make Noir via Plump. I'm just searching whether it can, just reading whether it can search any Purrely card.
So something good for him to start to get going in main phase 2. And we'll see main phase 2. We'll summon the Lily.
And I know that he's got no interaction because he's got no cards in hand at this point.
The field spell, very powerful, prevents your special summoned Purrely monsters from being affected by from being targeted by card effects.
So
Yeah, like we were
I think
saying,
I grabbed
once you
Sleepy
have one
Memories
card, every
here
other card
and maybe a
will be able to
Pretty
put
just
people
to
that
get
actually
cards
do
in
it.
rotation.
I
And
believe Jared
well,
is
Sleepy
sitting on
Memories is
no
the best
cards in hand,
here
no cards on field,
to get me
and yet
resources
with the,
over him.
Soul of Rage.
And then Sleepy Memory, Pretty Memory is a good one to get it in rotation in case he starts crashing into stuff. It's also a really good way to remove their U-Bells because they don't leave the field. When cards get attached, they technically don't leave the field, which means it doesn't trigger the Throne effect, it doesn't trigger the U-Bells effect, and if you're playing against another Purrely player, it doesn't trigger the My Friend of the Street.
The Plump is able to add attach 2 spells or traps in the graveyard to it, so he'll be able to get back to his Purrely Noir with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 material again.
So he's going to have 3 spins again, but
And I had somebody asking me why I didn't make Zeus here on the Happiness, and the answer is, why would I? If I make Zeus here, it just sits there doing nothing, right? Until I run out of Noir, and then I use Zeus, right? But my Noir is 6 materials at this point. I'm not running out of Noir against a player that has no cards in hand currently. And if he like draws triple tack, for example, or let's say he had another card in hand, triple tack, If I use Noir effect, he just takes the Zeus, and then the Zeus can clear the back row and puts a lot of pressure on me because I'm down on card advantage at that point and resources. So that's why I don't make Zeus, because if he takes Happiness, it does nothing, alright, unless he has Zeus.
Only one spin is going to be projected before it becomes able to be affected by other card effects there.
Yep, and during the end phase, the SP Little Knight will return. And that's a 7 material X Purrely Noir, so it can use its effect once and will still be unaffected.
This is a great play. Plus, I believe it now has 2 sleeping memories attached, which means as soon as it gets to Jared's standby phase, Tim's going to be able to draw 2 cards from his deck. And
so I'm just checking what I need to play through, like what his possible interactions are next turn. So I'm reading the graveyard, I'm searching for Yubel names, thinking, you know, can he get into Phantom of Yubel? Does he have any effects that can activate in the graveyard? Because then I would be shuffling them back before he can activate them. That's a good one to do, especially in like decks that maybe like Branded, for example. And also, his Solid Rage can only link during my turn, so I'm not too worried about it. If he doesn't have another body. He can make Typhon here.
Here's the part where we resist memories to draw cards.
But it can't do anything because he can swing back the Happiness,
You're staring down at
but then he can't actually like swing into anything.
as well as the SP Little Knight.
Maybe it's at this point that instead of giving away like 6 cards in your deck, you just suck it up.
Yes, that's really funny. He draws Prost, and I say, that's a really good top deck. And then I go on, I also top decked really good, and I Ash Blossom, and then we go to game 2.
And we will now be going on to game 2 of this top spells. Like, will have an additional effect.
Protect water.
Okay, so we're going second here, and with my build, I have a lot of board breakers. So these are the cards, you can see them on the screen right now, these are the cards that I'm siding out. So I'm siding out my 3 Ash Blossoms, it looks like 2 Imperms, a Purrely, and a Rivalry. So I like... if I think that the board breakers that I have in my side deck are really good, I'll take out 1 Purrely, because like if you see 2 Purrely in your starting hand going second, you like are basically screwed, right? And I take out the Ash Blossoms because I don't want to turn on his triple attack, because at this point I know that he's playing them. And I keep like an Imperm in because Imperm's just good at dealing with like Appaloosa and things like that. So I'm siding in my Lightning Storms, my change control cards, and I keep the Black Goat in because I want my discard to have value. So I need the negate there for like, let's say like Soul of Rage, for example.
Even if you get like a full suite of Chain Out, take all their monsters, make sure they can't.
Taking a little bit longer just there on in hands and yep, Tim's going first.
So we're just going to skip through to where he builds his board, and I'll tell you about his board.
Yeah. Prosperity.
Alright, so his board currently is the continuous spell card, the Gates. This card here, the set card, is the Unchained Trap card that pops one of your opponents. He's got Phantom of Yubel and he's got Rage. And my hand is Lightning Storm, Mind Control, Dark Ruler No More, Delicious Memory, Street, and I think a card that's going to be used for a discard, so it doesn't really... Oh no, Prosperity. Prosperity is the last card, sorry. It comes up later. So, I've got my 3 board breakers, Mindcon, Lightning Storm, Dark Ruler. Now, like, which ones do I want to use here, right? I can Mindcon, right? But Mindcon take Soul of Rage is not good because there's nothing for me to link off with. Taking Phantom of Yubel is not good because I can't use its effect. So, I'm not going to use Mind Control here. I'm going to use Lightning Storm and Dark Ruler, right? But if I start with Dark Ruler, and then he activates the trap card, and then I go Lightning Storm, and he chains the trap card, he can then destroy the Soul of Rage and the Lightning Storm, which lets him Yama back the Soul of Rage, making it live again. So I need to start off with the Lightning Storm here first.
I think I saw a Dark Ruler No More.
Whereas, like, normally into, like, Snake Eyes, I would start with the Dark Ruler No More first, because I have the Spell and Trap Negate in, like, Hope Harbinger and stuff. It also locks the IP in the back row if you start with Dark Ruler against Snake Eyes.
Dark Ruler No More.
Cool. Everything's turned off now. There's going to be no interruptions from this.
Yeah, and I really, like, I have to Dark Ruler here instead of the Mindcon because I need my Lily to resolve. So if I leave the Phantom of Yubel on field, my Lily doesn't get to resolve, and then I basically just lose.
Soul Rage and nor the Phantom of Yubel being able to change the effects to monsters.
See this right, Purrely straight.
And Delicious Memory. And choosing to discard the mind control here.
Well, I guess with the Dark Rule no more, you don't really need the mind control as much anymore.
Yep, and so Purrely, special summon with the protection of...
Although in hindsight, oh no, that's not a good play. I was gonna say I could have mind controlled away the Phantom Review Bell because I've got Street to protect the Purrely, but then he can Soul of Rage with the Phantom Review Bell. That would be on my side of the field. So like when you've got Street, you want to keep your board clear of non-Purrely cards, because let's say, again, when you're playing against Snake Eye Princess, you want, like, if you can keep the Princess in graveyard, it doesn't let them like remove Flamberge from the field as easily, and then they don't like. Their next turn will have less follow-up if you suck up Flamberge with like Pretty Memory and stuff. So when you play Street, you want to like keep yourself like Purrely only. Like if you go in at Anima, which is a really good card for like sucking, but it opens you up to the Princess, so which is like not good. So you want to like stick to your Purrelys. So like Minecon here still wouldn't have been good.
And Jared forgetting the Dark Rule no more was previously activated.
Yeah, he activates the Phantom Review Bell and he forgets about the Dark Ruler, which might be good for him actually, because it means that there's not the body for me to like swing into and stuff.
And pays 500 life points.
Seems an absolutely amazing hand going second with that lightning storm, the mind control, the Dark Ruler no more.
So
As well as
Happy
Rage
Memories,
is combat.
one because of like he's got Shavara in hand to pop the Soul of Rage. So again, he can Shavara pop the Soul of Rage, Yama bring back the Soul of Rage to make it live. Not that it matters too much. But it's a good card to have in the Unchained matchup, and it means that I can also go Happiness, so I can swing into the Unchained, and then search like whatever I want. Because I protected it from battle with the Delicious Memory at the start of the turn. But the DD Crow that I did not foresee. I didn't see a single DD Crow the whole day, so I really wasn't playing around it. So this Prosperity needs to find basically like exactly Purrely, because I have no other cards in hand, or you know, maybe some form of interaction. And I make 3 piles here. The piles are, one pile contains Typhon, Zeus, and Downed. It's my like, I'm gonna need this because this game is gonna get scrappy. The other pile contains like Anima, SP, Assemble Nightingale, which are the like, I don't need this because this game is like, I'm not going to get into a position where I need these cards. So these are definitely chuck, definitely keep. And then we got the middle pile of like, oh, do I want to keep this or not? And that's all my cats basically. I think I end up banishing like one of every single cat, like including Big Noir.
Be very vigilant here. You don't want to accidentally banish, or even intentionally banish the wrong one. Perhaps like you don't know what is right or wrong until it comes up.
Exactly. There's nothing worse than resolving Prosperity than about 3 or 4 turns later in the game going down. We're ready to use that. Hindsight's 2020, and we're about to see 6 cards off the top of the deck.
One of every street, a Blackbird last, another Prosperity.
Alright, 6 cards here. Some of them are better than others. So he's got Shavara in hand. I could grab Black Goat to stop special summons, and then it's good next turn as well. But again, I really need to make sure that my friend stays on the field. Which I think it's a good play, but I end up grabbing the Happy Memory because I know about the Shavara in hand. And it also guarantees me next turn, as in like, because I draw a card, and then that's like Purrely combo right there.
Again, Jared forgetting about the Dark Rule no more. This is where they play.
He Shavaras, targets the Soul of Rage, but because I activate the Happy Memory earlier, choosing the Soul of Rage, he can't destroy it, which means that my Typhon actually like gets to resolve. I shuffle back the Soul of Rage, but I forget to detach from the Typhon until like now, and I set the Happy Memory. So at this point, Yama is not that big of a deal because Soul of Rage is the one that we're worried about summoning back, right? And we have a non-Purrely name on the board, so we're open to being targeted. I end up playing around Yama for the rest of this game, but at this point I probably didn't have to. And if I like trigger Yama, it means he summons bodies, which then I can like crash into and like work with, because in Purrely you really want your opponent to have bodies on the field, which could have been a play. But I chose to play around it anyway because I didn't want to take any chances. You know, like it's like top 8, you really like don't want to screw anything up. And I hadn't had a lot of practice against YuGiOh, so I really didn't want to take any risks that I didn't need to.
In again, we see against like where neither player has many cards, but we know that Purrely is very easily able to get back a lot of the cards that they need.
Yeah, we saw this in the last game as well, where Tim was down to almost nothing, but the advantage just snowballed away and quickly overwhelmed Jared there. Well, while Tim, again, has nothing in his hand, he does have a face down, and he does have the My Friend Purrely, which sticks around. It's going to be another 500 life points off Tim, but he is going to be able to search a card to start with plays.
He sets 2 and he still has a Shavara in hand, I believe.
Yeah, so he's just sets 2 and passes, and I'm like, okay.
Where Tim doesn't have a lot to start.
So the card that I drew for turn was another Happy Memory, and I've got one set. So I go My Friend, grab Pretty Memory just to get it in rotation, because Pretty Memory and the Delicious Memory makes me noir, especially because he's got 2 set cards on the field that can suck.
Goes through the same, so it doesn't matter if Jared randomly picks or rolls the dice, it's going to be the exact same result.
And this is a misplay here. I should have activated the Happy Memory on field because he knows about the Happy Memory on field. But he didn't know about the one that I drew for hand. But my thinking here is I've got to stop Shavara. So I'm going to start activating Happy Memories. If I activate Happy Memory here, he changed Shavara. I can chain the second Happy Memory to protect whatever the Shavara targets, and then I'm good, right?
Still thinking here. Just might have to like him a nudge there.
Sorry, he's just thinking here. So he ends up judgmenting my Happy Memory. And at this point, I get a little spooked. Because like I don't want to overextend here. If I overextend here and I get interrupted, first of all, I don't have Yeep in the graveyard. So if I go through my second Lily here, I might not get that card advantage back. Mind you that Lily can search Yeep. So I don't want to use my second Lily haphazardly. And I've still got the Happy Memory in my like back row, and I know that he's passed, so I know that his hand isn't that good. So he needs to like top deck really good in order to actually like play the game. So I just swing with the Typhon, put the pressure on his life points, and then just like pass. And because I'm just playing resource game here, right? If I overextend and I get punished, I lose the game. But if I like stay in this position, as long as I don't die, I can come back into the game. Thinking about making Zeus here, but again, there's no point. The Zeus will be like 1 material, so then there's no attaches. So there's no like detach to wipe.
And yeah, what a very good.
And he top decks Throne, which is absolutely crazy top deck. I think this is like his number 2 top deck for the match.
Adds the Spirit Bow and destroys it, and throws an effect. The YuGiOh is summoned to the field. Where does Jared go from here?
He does have a Shavara in hand. I think Purrely has a Pretty Memory in hand.
So he goes Shavara, and obviously I happy the target. I think he targeted his back row, but I really think he should have targeted the U-Bell. But anyway.
Yeah. Looks like the Happy Memory was activated, protecting 1 card on the field from being destroyed, and so that does stop the Shavara from happening.
And shuffles U-Bell and another monster from his graveyard.
So here he goes into Phantom. He's got no other plays for his turn, so he's going to pass on the Phantom, which is a monster negate. So I just need to basically play through that monster negate. But also I think that during my turn I decide that he's not going to Phantom, because if he Phantoms, he's clearing his own board for me to swing. But I'm a little silly and I forget that like Throne and the Phantom will like destroy U-Bell, and he'll actually like get bodies off that, and he's also still got the armor. So in hindsight, wasn't a good assumption to make, but it ends up making not too much of a difference.
I think there is still merit in ensuring that you take all the relevant steps you need to ensure a clean victory. There are many times where people think that the path is clear and there's a massive oversight. I'm sure we've all been there. So even though it is clear, you want to be able to make the most of your turn as if they had all the life points in the world.
Exactly. I believe it wasn't during the Duel Monsters anime. I think you said something along the lines of the Duel's not over until the last card is drawn. Something very dramatic like that. And yeah, indeed, in states like this, it can surely happen.
Absolutely.
There's 1 life point for 1100 life points. Jared can still be in this game.
Now the Lily could search for Yeep here to give me like resources, but I can kill here, right? I know that I can kill here. So I grabbed the Purrely just to have more more push this turn.
Yeah, you've got a couple of times last turn about that Dark Rule no more here, so hopefully he doesn't forget about the effects of Stray Purrely Street, protecting all the special summon Purrely monsters in the turn that is special summoned.
Right, looks like the Spirit of Phantom U-Bell finally activating.
Yep, so he gets to destroy a bunch of things.
Summon the regular U-Bell here. declaring that he's only got the 1 card in hand.
Here we see the Purrely. Shuffle a deck, and then we look at the top 3.
I believe so, and he's going to add 1 Purrely card.
I'm ready to throw because I'm like, why didn't he activate
Yeah,
turn?
Pop 30 can't be added.
Pretty memory into...
So I'm like, okay, I suck, and then I win, right?
Indeed.
Yep, you can target 1 effect once your opponent controls negate its effects until the end of the turn.
He's able to negate the effects of that YuGiOh there. And Jared doesn't want to risk the attack on his life points, so he's acting Shivara now, destroying the YuGiOh. Activating his chain links, he's looking at YuGiOh 1 and Nightmare Throne 2. Nightmare Throne's going to allow him to add the...
YuGiOh monster from his deck graveyard of banishment, whose level is 1 or higher or lower, and then special summon ignoring summoning conditions.
And there it is, the Terra Incarnate. Doesn't want to risk anything. He doesn't want to risk that there might be another effect negation at Tim's disposal here, so he's putting Terra Incarnate in defense mode.
I'm just reading whether I can swing over this Shivara.
Just in case
But he's still got the Yama engraved, so
Okay,
I don't
Yama.
want to like. Basically, here I've made a mistake. He's got too many bodies on the field for me to like push through and win. I just need to like deal with the bodies, right? And I've already used the Pretty Memory to suck, so I don't have that option. I do have another one in hand, and in hindsight, the correct play here, is to go Pretty Memory, Beauty Channeling 2, switch the Shivara to attack position, crash into it, which will activate Street and My Friend, getting me into like Purrely, and then back to hand Pretty Delicious, and probably Happy Memory, given that he's still on Unchained and it's good to have, and then just suck up the rest of his board, pass, and then next turn I like literally just win because there's nothing that he can top deck.
Just to see how many monsters Jared's able to put up in defense position this turn.
But I end up just like going for a Zeus, so I just swing into the YuGiOh so I don't destroy anything, so he can't trigger Yama. And I go to make Zeus, but then I go, oh, I've got Typhon on the field. Typhon will negate my Zeus, so I need a way of getting rid of Typhon. So I'm forced to use the Pretty Memory in hand to basically do that. Yeah, which also gives him 1,000 life points, which I didn't particularly want to do, but it's okay anyway, because Zeus is like 3k, so as long as he stays under 3k, it's fine. And I target the back row because he's been holding it for so long. It's either something that's going to like really kick me in the butt, or it's nothing. And like I know that I'm clearing the rest of the board with the Zeus anyway. I just need to make sure that Zeus resolves. Mind you, when Terra Incarnate leaves the field, it gets to summon the bigger one. Which I forgot about. I thought it said if this card got destroyed, you could, but it actually says that if this card leaves the field. So he tries to activate it.
That's correct.
And I'm reading here, and I'm like, doesn't this need to summon the higher one? Because most YuGiOh players only play this one. They don't have the higher one. Yeah, he tries to summon YuGiOh, and I'm like, excuse me.
Face up card leaves the field, special one. YuGiOh's the ultimate nightmare from your hand deck graveyard.
Nothing here.
Yeah, so I've got no cards in hand, but if I stop this turn, I win the game. And I'm checking here. He's got YuGiOh cards in the grave, which means that he has access to Phantom of YuGiOh. So he prosps here.
That's $1 million question, isn't it?
And like if he draws a starter, it can be pretty bad for me because I have 2 activations of Zeus. So if he goes summon Phantom of YuGiOh, summon starter, activate starter effect, or let's say it's Samsara D Lotus, right? Summon Samsara D Lotus. If I like Zeus there, I go Zeus 1, he goes Phantom 2, I go Zeus 3. It clears the board. But then his Phantom's going to destroy a card from deck, which summons out another YuGiOh that he can like work with, right? And it also triggers, probably triggers Yama as well.
What a prosperity! You cannot ask for better than that in this situation.
But yeah, top deck number 3.
Pick the best one from there. Just under 3 minutes on the clock as well. Sizable life point deficit.
4, 5, 6. Go for the full 6 and see what he flips.
The triple tactics talent, 2 triple tactics talent, Solemn Judgment, Samsara D Lotus, DD Crow, and Terraforming. Terraforming get 2
yeah,
rates off.
So Zeus checks the Terraforming, Zeus checks the Samsara D Lotus, and he's also only playing 2 Phantom of YuGiOh, which means that I don't need to worry about that, so he knows that he's lost, and that's how I made top 4 at Oceanics. Thanks for watching, guys. Leave a comment if you've got any questions. I'm happy to answer any of them. I hope you learned something. My name's Afian. Like and subscribe for more Purrely content.